Okay, if you've ever cracked open one of those huge human biology textbooks, you know what I mean? It's just data overload right from page
Oh,
one.
it's immense. And you see all the parts, the bones, the organs. But the real magic, the complexity, is in all the automatic stuff running behind the scenes.
Exactly. The systems that manage everything without you even thinking about it.
Yeah, keeping your internal world ticking along perfectly. No conscious effort needed.
So that's our mission for this deep dive. We want to pull out the key ideas, the sort of foundational principles that govern that inner world.
We're calling them the body's hidden choreographers.
I like that. And we'll uncover some surprising facts, the essential mechanics that keep things running, from the tiniest cell membrane right up to habits you've learned.
And the source material we're drawing on today is fantastic. It really connects the dots from that micro level all the way to the big systems, nervous, endocrine, energy balance, the whole lot.
So to really get it, we need to start small, right? At the foundation.
Exactly. The cell, the fundamental unit, as the books say. Morphofunctional and genetic unit, technically.
And they start simple, kind of roundish.
Yeah, initially globular, but then they differentiate, they specialize, they turn into all sorts of shapes, depending on the job, long and thin, star-shaped, cubic, whatever's needed.
And the gatekeeper for this specialized unit is the cell membrane.
Right, and think fluid mosaic model here. It's a great way to picture it.
So not a solid wall.
No, not at all. It's dynamic, fluid. Proteins are sort of floating in this lipid sea like little functional icebergs, and they're not spread out evenly either.
Okay, so this floating barrier, it's the traffic controller. It's got selective permeability.
That's the term, yes.
Yeah.
It has to let nutrients in, let waste out, obviously, both directions.
But what's the really interesting bit about how it selects?
Well, it's the sheer sophistication. It's not just a simple filter. It's actively deciding what comes in, what goes out, which direction, and crucially, how much energy it's going to cost.
Ah, the energy cost.
Oh,
Okay, so transport breaks down based on that.
exactly. Two main groups. Passive transport is the first one.
The free ride.
Basically, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
No ATP, no cellular energy needed. Things just move down their concentration gradient. Simple diffusion is part of this. Works for stuff like oxygen, steroid hormones, things that dissolve in lipids easily.
And osmosis fits here too, right? The water movement.
Absolutely crucial. Water moving across that semi-permeable membrane to balance things out. And then there's facilitated diffusion.
Still passive, still following the gradient.
Still passive, yes. But the molecules need help. They need a specific protein channel or transporter, like a specific doorway, to get them across. Still no energy cost, though.
Okay, so now for the expensive option, active transport.
Right. This always costs ATP. The cell has to spend its energy currency.
Why bother spending energy? Why force it?
Because sometimes you need to move things against their concentration gradient. You need to push them uphill, essentially.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
To build up a difference.
Precisely. It's fundamental for creating the chemical imbalances that life depends on. Think electrical signals, for instance. The classic example everyone learns is the sodium-potassium pump, the Na plus K plus pump.
Right, that one's famous. So it uses ATP directly.
It does. It hydrolyzes ATP to actively pump 3 sodium ions out of the cell for every 2 potassium ions it pulls in against their natural flow.
And the sheer energy cost of just that one pump, what does that enable system-wide?
Oh, it enables almost everything electrical in your body. That gradient it builds, that difference in charge and concentration. It's the direct power source for every nerve impulse, every muscle contraction, every single thought.
Well, so that one microscopic pump is basically the foundation for the entire nervous system's function.
You could definitely argue that. It generates the potential energy, the charge difference, that the nervous system then uses to send signals. It's the engine under the hood.
Okay, that's a perfect bridge. Let's zoom out from the cell and look at that huge electrical network, the nervous system. And here's a fact from our source that just jumped out at me.
Let's hear it.
In higher mammals, the support cells, the neuralia, they actually outnumber the neurons, the main signal guys, by 10 to 1.
Isn't that something? It's like the road crew and maintenance staff vastly outnumbering the drivers on the highway.
So what are these neuroglia doing? Astrocytes, Schwann cells.
They're doing all the essential support work. Protection, feeding the neurons, providing physical structure, and crucially, making the myelin sheath.
The insulation for the wires.
Exactly. Speeds up the signals massively. They're the unsung heroes keeping the whole high-speed network running smoothly.
And the basic operating principle of this network is the reflex, right?
The reflex, yeah. Defined simply as the body's automatic response when a receptor gets stimulated. Quick, unconscious reaction.
And a little historical nod, Descartes coined the term back in the 1600s.
He did. And every reflex follows a specific pathway, the reflex arc. It's got 5 parts.
Okay, lay them out for us.
Sure. You've got the receptor detects the stimulus, like heat on your finger. Then the afferent pathway, the nerve carrying the signal in towards the center.
In pausa.
Okay.
Then the center itself, usually the spinal cord or brainstem where the decision is made. Then the efferent pathway, the nerve carrying the command out.
Out. Got it.
And finally, the effector, the muscle or gland that actually does something, like pull your hand away. Receptor, afferent, center, efferent, effector. Always in that order for these basic reflexes.
An unconscious program running constantly. But we're not just bundles of basic reflexes. We learn responses, too.
Right. Conditional reflexes, or RCs, these are acquired, learned, and importantly, they involve the higher brain, the cerebral cortex, to complete the circuit.
And this brings us to Pavlov and his dogs, doesn't it? He figured out there are some really strict rules for forming these learned connections.
Incredibly strict. He found 4 criteria. First, association. You have to pair a neutral or indifferent stimulus like a bell with an absolute stimulus, something that naturally causes a reaction, like food.
Bell and food.
Second rule, and this is key, precession. The indifferent stimulus, the bell, must come before the absolute stimulus, the food.
Before. Why is the timing so critical? Because the brain has to learn that the bell predicts the food. If they happen together, or the food comes first, the predictive link isn't formed. The brain needs to learn cause and effect, essentially.
Makes sense. What's rule 3?
Dominance. The underlying drive or instinct needs to be strong. The animal has to be hungry for the food conditioning to work. If it's full or scared, the learning won't stick. The relevant instinct must be dominant.
Okay, focused motivation. And the last one.
Repetition. You can't just do it once. Pavlov found it takes somewhere between 10 and 30 pairings, 10 to 30 sessions, for that new connection to really get established in the cortex.
Ah, so that explains why practicing a musical instrument or learning vocabulary feels like such a grind sometimes. It's not just willpower, it's physically building that pathway based on Pavlov's rules.
Precisely. It's a physiological necessity for learning. Okay, now let's shift gears slightly to the body's big automatic balancing act, the autonomic nervous system, the SNV.
Right. This is where those hidden choreographers really manage our internal state, dealing with stress and calm. We usually split it into 2 divisions, yeah.
We do. The sympathetic and the parasympathetic systems, they're often seen as working in opposition.
So sympathetic, that's the fight or flight one, originating in the chest and lower back regions.
That's the one. It prepares the whole body for intense activity, for defense. Uses neurotransmitters like noradrenaline and adrenaline.
Its effects are widespread, right? Like when you get a sudden fright.
Exactly. Heart rate shoots up, blood pressure increases, energy stores get mobilized, pupils dilate, that's called mydriasis, to let in more light. Full system alert.
Then the parasympathetic is the counterbalance.
It is. It originates mostly in the brainstem and the sacral region, the bottom of the spine. Its goal is rest and digest, bringing things back to a calm baseline, promoting homeostasis, uses acetylcholine as its main messenger.
And its effects are more localized.
Generally, yes. More targeted towards the head and the internal organs, the viscera. Slows the heart rate, aids digestion, constricts the pupill's meiosis when you're relaxed. They're in this constant dynamic balance.
And maintaining that balance, that homeostasis, the stability of the internal environment, that's the continuous critical job we keep coming back to.
It really is. It's a system-wide effort, constantly adjusting.
And hormones play a huge role here, the endocrine system, especially under stress. When that sympathetic system is firing, the adrenal glands get involved.
Right, sitting on top of the kidneys. Stress hits, and they release key hormones.
Yeah.
From the outer layer, the cortex, you get hormones like cortisol.
A glucocorticoid. What's its main job in stress?
It has really broad effects. It influences metabolism, promoting catabolism, breaking things down for energy. But it's also vital for maintaining the central nervous system's integrity during prolonged stress. It helps you cope, basically.
And then from the inner part, the medulla.
That's where you get the immediate crisis responders, adrenaline and noradrenaline. Same chemicals the sympathetic nerves use, but released as hormones into the bloodstream for a wider effect.
Preparing the whole organism for, well, aggression or intense effort. What does that widespread flood feel like?
You feel it everywhere. Increased heart rate, stronger contractions, vasoconstriction, blood vessels clamping down in many areas, which is why you might look pale when scared. But also, critically, it triggers alertness in the brain, anxiety, even fear. It's a physiological alarm bell.
And to fuel all this potential action, we need energy, metabolism.
Yep. the body's energy budget, it boils down to two fundamental processes. Catabolism, breaking down complex molecules to release energy.
Decomposition for energy production.
Right. And anabolism, building complex molecules from simpler ones, which requires energy, synthesis for growth and repair.
And you mentioned catabolism releases energy, but it's not perfectly efficient.
Not even close. When we break down fuel, about 55% of the energy released is actually lost immediately as heat. Only around 45% gets captured in useful forms like ATP.
That's a lot of waste heat. Explains why exercise warms you up so much.
It does. The body's constantly shedding that excess heat. And all these processes, catabolism and anabolism, are working together constantly to keep things stable, especially blood glucose levels, glycemia.
Which should ideally be in that narrow range. What was it, 65 to 110 milligrams per deciliter?
That's the target zone. And keeping it there involves this constant juggling act between four key processes related to glucose.
Okay, what are they?
There's glycogenolysis, breaking down stored glycogen into glucose. Glycogenesis, storing excess glucose as glycogen. Glycolysis, actually burning glucose for immediate energy. And gluconeogenesis, making new glucose from other sources like fats or amino acids when needed.
Wow, a four-way balancing act. And hormones are directing all of this.
Entirely. Insulin is the main player that lowers blood glucose, helping cells take it up.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you have several hormones that raise it. Glucagon, adrenaline, cortisol. They all stimulate glucose production or release. It's this beautifully sensitive feedback loop, constantly adjusting.
Now, when we talk energy production, especially from glucose, oxygen seems key.
Oh, it's absolutely paramount. That initial step, glycolysis, happens without oxygen and yields only a tiny amount of ATP. But the vast majority of energy from that glucose molecule, something like 95% of the total ATP, is generated later with oxygen inside the mitochondria. Oxidative phosphorylation.
95%. That's incredible. So oxygen is what makes our energy production so efficient.
Massively efficient. It's our high-yield power plant.
But the source material mentioned a backup system, a safety net for when oxygen isn't available.
Yes, anaerobic glycolysis. Anaerobic meaning without oxygen. This pathway kicks in during intense bursts of activity like sprinting, or if oxygen supply is briefly cut off.
But it's not very efficient, you said.
Extremely inefficient. It only produces about 3% of the ATP you'd get with oxygen, and it generates lactic acid as a byproduct, which can cause fatigue.
So why have it?
Because, as the source puts it, it's salvatory for life. Those few minutes it can keep cells going without oxygen can be absolutely critical for survival. It's your emergency backup generator.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. From the cell membrane's incredibly selective gates, which ultimately power our nerves.
Through the huge support network of neuroglia, the rules for learning reflexes.
All the way to the hormonal tug-of-war managing blood sugar and our response to crisis. It's just layers upon layers of automatic control.
And the sensitivity of these systems is just mind-boggling. Think about our senses, like the olfactory analyzer, your sense of smell. It's not just for enjoying perfume. It's a defense mechanism, evaluating food, warning against toxins.
And the detection thresholds are tiny, aren't they?
Almost unbelievably tiny. The example given is musk. The minimum amount needed to trigger a smell sensation is documented as 1/10,000,000th of a gram per liter of air.
1/10,000,000th of a gram. That's practically nothing.
It's an infinitesimal amount. Yet that microscopic trigger can activate a crucial survival assessment system. That's the level of precision these hidden choreographers operate at.
Millions of programs running every second based on sensitivities we can barely comprehend, making life or death decisions without us knowing.
Exactly.
So here's a thought to leave you with today. As you're just breathing right now, think about this. You can potentially distinguish maybe 10,000 different smells. How many of those are being triggered in your nose right now, completely unconsciously, by maybe less than a nanogram of some substance floating in the air? That constant, hidden, high-stakes choreography, that's what's keeping you going.